Hi everyone, great to have you back here at the cottage. Today I want to talk about minimalism with kids. I want to discuss some of the potential benefits and also offer up some tips and simple solutions and ways that you can incorporate minimalism into your family's lifestyle. I know that there is a group of people who are interested in learning more about minimalism, even starting to practice it in their own lives, but they get held up because they don't think it's possible since they have children of their own. They're worried that the lifestyle might be too restrictive or that the kids might get resentful of pulling them along with a lifestyle that they didn't choose to do. And I will admit I had some of the same hesitations, some of the same hangups when we were starting this process over 6 years ago, but I can say now with hindsight being 2020, that having our entire family engaged in the process of simplifying our lives was one of the best things that we've ever done. The first way that I can say minimalism benefits kids is that it gives them a better sense of independence. They are less likely to lose things when they have fewer things. They are more likely to be responsible with the things that they do have. When we are getting ready to leave the house, our kids know exactly where their shoes are, they know where their coats and backpacks are, they can get to them themselves, and they can get themselves ready and out the door. It's a lot less stress, it's a lot less hassle. Another benefit is having less distractions. When kids have less distractions, it's really amazing to see their creativity bloom and how they can be laser focused into the things that they truly do love. So before we started this minimalism practice, our kids had many toys. They had a lot of things that they could play with, but they were constantly being distracted. They would play with this thing for a little while and then they would run over here and play with this for a little while, and it was just really a lot of things going on. And when we started to pare down their belongings, they really did zero in on the things that they truly loved and the things that they truly wanted to play with and learn. And so they can find their passions and really focus on them without all the extra distractions of things that they need to manage and worry about. I can also say that our kids have benefited from minimalism by being less possessive and selfish, and they're better sharers, honestly. Again, when they were younger and they got a present for their birthdays or for Christmas, they would really not want to share that with anybody. They would keep it to themselves, and even if they got bored with it and didn't want to play with it anymore, they didn't want their other siblings to use it because it was theirs. They were very possessive of it. And now that there are fewer things, we have more of a community approach to basically all of our belongings. We know that in this family we share, so that has been a really good eye-opening thing that I really wasn't expecting. Minimalism can also give kids more confidence in their decision-making skills. And starting out, I think that having less to decide between is probably the first step in this process. The more times that a child makes a decision that they feel confident in, it's going to actually help them in other decisions that they make throughout their lives as well, such as what relationships that they're in or how they eat and how they treat their own bodies. And it's just really a good skill to learn and something that I think that minimalism has really helped out for our kids. And the last way that I have seen minimalism benefit our kids is that we all have stronger bonds. We are complete open books. We don't hide anything that comes with our things, that comes with our feelings, and we're just a lot more open with each other. And we also spend a lot more intentional time together. When we don't have as much time spent worrying about managing all of our belongings and repairing things and maintaining things, we have a lot more time for each other. And so overall, I would say this is probably the best benefit, but it really goes in line with all the other benefits as well. And as you can imagine, laying this foundation at home is really important because all of these benefits that I talked about are things that can be carried throughout a child's life into adulthood. They're learning them at home, within the family unit, in this small community unit, and eventually when they are out on their own and they're forming new relationships, they're going to take these skills with them. And so it's really setting them up for success in the future as well. I can't say enough good things about how minimalism can benefit kids, how it's benefited ours, and how I think it could benefit yours as well. So if these benefits seem enticing to you and you're ready to give your own version of family minimalism a try, I want to encourage you and also offer up a few tips and simple ways that you can start incorporating these ideas into your lifestyle. First, I want to say that the best way ever to teach a kid anything is to just show them by doing it yourself. And I know that a lot of people are hesitant to push their own ideas and values onto their kids because we want them to be independent thinkers, we want them to make their own choices for themselves. But just remember, they are children and they are very impressionable and they're going to mimic what they see. Kids are very intuitive on what's going on, and so they're going to be asking those questions. They're going to be wondering, why are you not shopping as much anymore? Why have you pared down to, fewer of this or that? And then you can start to have that discussion. But really, kids are very in tune to what you are doing, and so the very best way that you can teach them and start incorporating minimalism is just to do it yourself and see where that leads the family. All right, so let's say that you're starting out this minimalism journey and your kids are a bit older, they've accumulated quite a few things and it's feeling a bit overwhelming, not sure where to start. This is exactly the point that we were at when we started our journey as well, and so I definitely feel your pain. Again, we're going to be modeling our behavior by showing our kids what we're doing with our own belongings and our, more grown-up things like kitchen utensils and bedding and things like that. But then at some point you're going to get to your children's items as well, and you're going to need to have very good communication with them in terms of what they consider to be their belongings. And kids tend to get quite possessive of their things. As I mentioned before, they may have a toy that they haven't played with in a long time, but they will still say, I still like it, I don't want to get rid of it. And so this is a good time to implement a quarantine type of bin. Put them in this bin, put them somewhere away, and chances are they're not going to ask for those specific toys. And if they do, you can go and retrieve it. Otherwise, after a certain amount of time, those toys could probably be donated or sold. Having the communication with your child of knowing what their favorites are. Again, with minimalism, we're not concerned with just getting rid of everything. We're actually focused on finding the most valuable things. And so starting out that conversation with your child and saying, all right, I want you to go to your toy box, go to your room and find your 5 or 6 favorite toys, and they will pretty easily be able to pull those aside. Kids can tend to be a little bit resistant to let go of toys that they remember playing with when they were younger, and so maybe finding a younger family member or friend that could use the toys. This usually will help a child let go of those things because they know that it's going to benefit somebody else. This is another really good life lesson that they can learn. Clothing is another area that can get pretty overwhelming, especially with kids' clothes, because that's really fun to shop for, honestly. They have very cute styles, fun bright colors and patterns that kids can get away with wearing that adults can't. And generally speaking, kids' clothing is relatively inexpensive, and so we end up accumulating a lot of things for our kids that they really don't need. I know that I was guilty of this, and we had stuffed closets, stuffed drawers, and whenever I would send my kids to go pick an outfit for the day, they'd keep coming out with the exact same shirt or dress every single time because it's what they wanted, it's what they liked. And so step one for working on the clothing inventory is to go with your child to their dresser, to their closet, and ask them to pick out their favorites in the different categories and find things that can coordinate with one another and they can make those decisions on their own. I think it's really important for kids to be able to pick their own clothing, pick their own style, but we also want them to be presentable in public, and so finding things that coordinate together is really important. Another tip that I have with clothing is to not have those seasonal bins. So here in Minnesota, we get all 4 seasons, and we need a wide variety of clothing from tank tops to heavy sweaters throughout the year. And so making sure I have everything in the drawers and I don't have anything packed away that I don't know is there, it helps me to see where our kids might be lacking in a certain way, and that has worked really well for us to help keep our inventory manageable and going with the seasons. Another thing that I have found to be really helpful if you have multiple children of the same gender, and I saw this tip somewhere, I can't remember exactly where it was, but it's called the dot method. So for example, we have 3 sons and they're all 2 years apart. And our oldest son, when he gets a shirt I buy for him, I put 1 dot on the tag. As he outgrows it, I just add another dot, and then it's for my second son. That way when I'm doing laundry, if I see a shirt that I know my older son used to wear or I had bought for him, but I'm not sure who is wearing it now, I can just look at the tag and see, oh, it's got 2 dots, it goes to the middle son, and it goes down the line to 3 dots for our third son. And that has really been a good way for me to keep track of my laundry, and also to make sure that I know, what has been passed down and what's fitting who at any given time. Another category for kids items is their art projects. Kids are so creative and they have so many great ideas for art and different things that they like to build. Now, we could get fairly overrun by art projects. I know that they seem to be small and not take up a lot of space, but let me tell you, when you start stacking them up and saving every little thing, it gets to be a lot. And so the tip that I use now is that as soon as the art project comes home, or let's say they even make the project at home, I'll take a picture of that and I will let the child know, we'll hang this up for a little while or something, but eventually they do know it's going to go into the trash can, but we still have that picture. And what I like to do then is I'd like to put those pictures into a digital photograph album that you can have printed off through Snapfish or Shutterfly or something like that. And that's really going to be helpful to save space. It's also a lot more fun to look through, I feel like, because you can just flip the pages just like a book and you can see all those projects. And as I've talked about in other videos, minimalism is so much more than just stuff. It's about really an entire intentionality of living. And so I want to talk a bit about kids and activities, the different sports that they're in, the clubs that they join, and really finding a good balance for that. Our kids, they don't need to be busy all the time. I think that's really important that kids have lots of free time, that they can explore their own creative pursuits. I think a lot of times parents, we want to make sure that our kids are involved. We want to make sure that they make friends and that they find out what their passions are. But I think even without these scheduled sports times or club times, that they can do some of this on their own. Now, I think clubs and sports are great and they are a good way for kids to learn, but we can limit them, help them to understand that they are making a commitment by joining and that there are only so many hours in a day, so they need to be selective of which clubs that they decide to go for. This is another thing that will help them become more intentional in their own lives and help them to realize too what things that they truly do enjoy giving their time towards. Alright, well I hope that this video was helpful to you. If you're someone who's looking at starting a minimalism journey, but you're not sure how to navigate it with your kids, I hope this is encouragement that it is possible and in fact very beneficial for the entire family to journey on this way together. And I really can't say enough good things. Like I said earlier, I feel like it's one of the best decisions we ever made for our family was to live a more simple and intentional life. If you are someone who has started this process and you have other tips to share with myself or anyone else watching this video, I'd love for you to comment down below some of the different ways that you've introduced minimalism to your kids and how it has come across, how they took in the information. Let's talk about that down below. Thank you so much for watching my video today, and I hope that you'll stop by the cottage again really soon.